All right, here's something that I think should be getting a little bit more attention. You all know real-world supervillain Bill Gates, right? And one of the things he's been pushing for over the decades is GMO food. Now, we know what GMO is, right? It's when you want a watermelon without seeds in it, or to grow strawberries when it's a little bit cold outside. But the truth is a little bit more insidious than that. You see, GMO doesn't just alter the genes of the foods we're eating, it has the capability of altering our genes. And the good people of Missouri have just stood up to this. They put forward a bill called HB 1169, Gene Therapy Disclosure and Informed Consent Bill. And basically what they're saying is if these GMO foods have the potential to alter our genetic code, then we damn sure should be well aware of that and consent to it. And interestingly enough, a biotech lobbyist on the scene openly admitted that the food does in fact have that capability. It can. Now, I don't know about you, but I think this should be mainstream news. A lot of these foods we eat on a daily basis. And the scary part is what could be slipped into our food supply down the road without us knowing.
Have you ever wondered what bioengineered food ingredients actually are? I would say this is a very important topic because especially in America, we are consuming millions and millions of pounds of these bioengineered foods, and I think we deserve to know what we're actually consuming. So they tell us what this is plain as day on the USDA's website. Bioengineered foods that contain detectable genetic material that has been modified through a bunch of rDNA weird sounding modifications that they do to this food that could not otherwise be obtained through conventional breeding or found in nature. So of course they will tell you, according to the FDA, bioengineered foods are safe and pose no risk to your health, right? Can you learn not to believe the first thing that you're told, and especially not to believe the first thing you look up? Read a little bit further. These bioengineered food products can introduce novel organisms into our bodies that can cause harm. More casual effects that consuming GMO foods can cause to a human being, you need to pay attention though, because this is just a few of the many things that could be happening. Let's take a look at this amazingly eye-opening story of your bioengineered food ingredients.
You may start to see something new on food labels. The word bioengineered will replace the old term GMO.
Consumer reporter Susan Hogan is working for you to explain this change so that you can make some smart and healthy choices for your family.
Well, that's right. Both the new term bioengineered and the one it's replacing, GMO, refer to foods that have had their DNA altered to either enhance their nutritional value or make them resistant to disease. So if you pay attention to food labels, you've probably seen GMO on some products made with food like corn and soybeans, foods like canola oil or sugar. But now GMO will be called bioengineered on food labels. The changes are part of the USDA's new rules that went into effect this year to create a national standard for labeling. The words mean the same thing, but some critics say because GMOs have a bad rap, changing the name is somewhat deceitful to consumers.
Now they suddenly decide, oh, we're not going to call it GMO anymore. We're going to call it BE, bioengineered, right? So that's already hiding the fact. Most people don't know what bioengineered is. They'll see it on their label and say, well, I don't know what that means.
So here's what the new labeling is going to look like. For example, this cereal box, which is now in compliance, lets you know right there on the labeling that it contains bioengineered ingredients. Or some products will display labels like these. And under the new labeling laws, food manufacturers also have the option to simply put a QR code like this one on its packaging. So now the burden is on you to scan it in order to see whether there are bioengineered ingredients in the product you want to buy. Some food safety groups claim this discriminates against a huge population of consumers.
Approximately 1/3 of Americans, we're talking about 100 million people here, or over 100 million people, don't have the smartphones. It's primarily the elderly, people of low income, which is often people of color. They are actually locked out altogether. They won't get anything. They won't even get the BE or bioengineer or even the QR code because they can't access that.
The Center for Food Safety filed a lawsuit against the USDA to block these new rules. The case is still ongoing. So when it comes to whether bioengineered foods are safe, well, it really depends on who you talk to. The FDA, USDA, and the EPA all ensure that they are safe for humans. And some food scientists believe they are incredibly helpful to the overall production of certain crops.
If you think about drought-resistant crops, we take a crop that is drought-resistant, we identify those genes, and we put it into a crop that's not drought-resistant. And we're able to increase crop productivity and yields in doing so. And it's really a technology that's extremely safe.
And to add to even more confusion, the one thing that's not changing, those foods that don't have bioengineered ingredients can continue using labels like this, the non-GMO label, on their packaging.
If you're still curious if this non-GMO actually means anything or not, check out these naturally seedless lemons and you tell me what you think non-GMO really means. And if you've made it this far, check out this other short video on how they explain how they make these plants seedless and how it's normal even though they're making mules that are sterile hybrids and triploids, and this is okay to eat.
Seedless fruit is called parthenocarpy. Parthenocarpic fruit can often naturally occur due to mutations or problems with sperm and egg fertilization or through specific hybrid breeding, mixing plants with more or fewer chromosomes to get a sterile offspring. For example, bananas have an extra set of chromosomes. They're called triploid. That's sort of like the fruit version of a mule, so it's sterile. Seedless plants are cultivated by farmers because consumers buy for convenience. Nothing is more inconvenient than a seeded grape, am I right? The Natural Watermelon Promotion Board says only 16% of watermelons sold have seeds these days, but if the seed of a plant is how that plant reproduces, how do we perpetuate that seedless plant? There is no seed to plant. But farmers know the answer to this one because it's easy. Through grafting. Farmers and agribusinesses spend lots of capital to produce what they believe is the best fruit for modern life. Watermelon, with its thick rind to survive shipping and no seeds, sell better. So why let nature mess up those perks by allowing them to naturally breed?